Draft Chaff. Coming up this week.
Ben likes to give me the hardest to pronounce. Geomorph Lagoon? Imagoo. I'm going to go with Imagoo.
The Imagoo.
I'm freaking out, man. I can feel the earth spinning.
Thank God this is late in the episode. Only the diehards get to hear that one. That's it. You're cut off. What's up, aficionados? Welcome back to Draft Chaff. This is episode 234, and this is a slightly belated Edge of Eternities format breakdown. I'm Ben, one of your hosts. Joining me on the line is Tyler, the draft dad himself. How's it going, dude?
I'm doing great, man. I know we're edging the... I can't do the joke on this.
Keep going. I'm leaving this in.
We edged you guys on this episode by holding it back.
Oh, my God.
Welcome. I was like thinking of it the whole time. Like, I can't say it. I'm like, I'm just going to do it.
Anyway, we're jumping straight right into an Edge of Eternities format breakdown. We're going to be chatting all things Edge.
Respect.
And we're going to stay monetized. Just kidding. We don't make any money. Let's get right into this with some introductory reminders. Speaking of not making very much money, shout out to our patrons, because you folks keep us afloat. Seriously, the Draft Chaff has never really been net positive. This has always been a labor of love and money from our own pockets for various prizes and giveaways and all the stuff we've done. And honestly, just paying for the editing software too, which, you know, it's expensive these days. Patrons, you are the ones that keep this ship afloat. We cannot thank you enough. If you're not in the Discord, it's a good place to talk all things Edge of Eternities. We've been starting to post some deck lists. Unfortunately, both of us were MIA for pre-release this time, so we're a little slow on the uptake. And I've been playing a bunch, not trophying too much. Still getting my handle on this new format, but I am liking it. A lot of 2-1s, not a lot of 3-0s. You know. And of course, you can always connect with us over on Twitter and Blue Sky, one of which is significantly less Nazi-ish than the other. So as always, when we jump into a new format, we like to approach it using our beloved vector theory. When we think of vectors, well, we're thinking about not math or physics, but magic cards. And we're thinking, what vector does this magic card have? We're trying to build, draft, play everything we do in Limited with the cards and decks vector in mind. So if cards have a certain vector strength and direction, to figure out what it's pointing towards, we just have to ask ourselves, when is this card at its best? What is this card asking us to do with it? Magic cards are good these days, right? Anytime you can look at a magic card and say, all right, here's a scenario where this card would be pretty good. How do I engineer that using all of the cards in my deck and in the draft and in the build to point in that one singular direction? We are going to take you through each of the 10 color pairs today and try to figure out in what direction they generally point, and maybe shout out a handful of cards, such as the Signpost Uncommon and a couple of uncommons in each of the colors that also point in that direction. How about you start us off with our first new mechanic? Vehicles are back?
Vehicle light. So this is probably one of the early spoiled mechanics that kind of saw some uproar. People weren't too sure how to take it. So it's station. So this is weird. Like, they look like planeswalkers almost with how they are built. This one, for the example, here we have Lumen Class Frigate. It's a 1 and a white for a 3/5 artifact spacecraft. And it has station, which says tap another creature you control, put a charge counters equal to that tapped creature's power onto this spacecraft. Station only has a sorcery. And this example here has two options. So if it has 2 station counters on it, or 2 charge counters on it, it gives other creatures +1/+1, and then eventually, if you can get up to 12 charge counters on it, it also gain flying and lifelink. So it's a slow investment piece that I think when it was first spoiled, people were kind of nervous about. But I got to say, playing with it so far, it's kind of been fun. I don't know if you can feel the same about that, Ben.
Yeah, they play out pretty cleanly. I've gotten to play with the Dawn Sire, the 5-mana one that deals 100 damage in a 20/20 flyer. Something that I noticed my opponents typically felt with that one and with other spacecraft as well is that they kind of have sneaky haste, as in, like, unless it's literally the turn that they came in, you can crew it up and you don't have to wait a turn after getting it properly stationed, once it's online, as long as it's been in play for a turn, you can just attack with it right away. So a couple times I got to sort of ambush people with a 2020 flyer that they, I guess, just didn't really think was coming that turn. Also, looking at the art of this card, you know those pictures where it's like a bunch of stuff that looks like stuff, but it's not actually stuff?
I could totally see that. Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening in this art.
Either do I.
Where is the side? Where's the front of this ship?
It's so futuristic that it's like fourth dimensional, where we just don't understand it.
Yeah,
our simple
like
3D minds.
this is clearly a very like thoughtful and cool art piece, but I just can't really place it.
I think that yellow section there is the front, and then these like almost like solar wings. These two, the 4 orange pieces represent these like, solar wings.
So we're looking at the bottom of it.
I believe so. Yeah, like almost like an underside.
Oh, so then, I see. The other side also has those 3 balls on it.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a frigate, which usually carries ships, and we can see the smaller ships, but I just don't see where they land. That's my
This is more akin to that painting of the rabbit / old woman, if you know that one. No, rabbit.
If you see the old woman first, you're a loser, and if you see the young woman first, you're super cool.
Wait, so it's an old woman and a young woman, and then it's a rabbit and a bird, maybe?
Something like
or
that.
a fish? It doesn't matter.
I can only ever see one. I'm too dumb for those.
Let's talk about our next mechanic, which is warp. To discuss warp, we can talk about Bygone Colossus. This is 9 mana for a 9/9. It's an uncommon artifact creature robot giant. That's kind of it. It's kind of a vanilla, but it does have this thing called Warp 3, which says you may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost. Exile this creature at the beginning of the next end step. Then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. Notably, this one does not have haste. It does not have an ETB effect. At first glance, it might be a little confusing as to why you'd want to do nothing functionally. There are some ways to work with this. We'll see that there is a second spell archetype, and notably, this is a cheaper cast than the full, mana value of the card. So maybe if you're looking to double spell in a turn, you couldn't do that with a 2-drop and a 9-drop, but you could do that with a 2-drop and this because it is Warp 3, thus triggering your second spell effects. Maybe you could give this haste, or maybe you could fling this, or maybe you could even use this to station a spacecraft, which this thing has 9 power on turn 3. You can station just about anything almost all the way. Have you liked Warp so far?
I think I haven't played a lot of games, but I keep coming along the question of like, do I play the cheap warp cost creature to get the effect for the ETB and then have that secondary effect come along later? Or do I play a more permanent instance right now? It's like, how much do I want to invest in this? Again, it feels like kicker in a lot of scenarios, especially with those ETB cards where you're essentially getting a double trigger. So I guess it depends on the card. I like so far the mechanics in the set feel the most unique we've seen in a long time for a set. So I'm enjoying it right now, just exploring the new space. No pun intended.
Boo.
Boo. Okay. How about you? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's fun. It gives more flexibility to a lot of these cards.
Yeah, it definitely opens you up to more game actions and more decision points. I've definitely found myself in the position where I felt like I misplayed with warp, and I warped the card when I shouldn't have, or I didn't when I should have. I don't know. I guess it also kind of depends on what your opponent's doing. Warping obviously takes more time. Also, there's one card in black that lets you like tuck something that's warped back on the bottom of its owner's library. I got to get my opponent with that once. Of course, maybe there's also some cards that say, there's a rare in this set that says put a creature from your hand into play. And I actually had a big warped creature, and I was like, oh, I guess I shouldn't have warped that earlier. So there's a lot of moving parts with this mechanic.
Next, we have Void. I keep mixing up Void and Warp. I don't know what it is. The two words are very similar in my head. But Void's basically like, what was it? Riot? There was another similar mechanic a while back where it cared about things leaving the battlefield. Essentially, Revolt, that's what it was. Essentially what Void is you get an additional bonus when a permanent leaves the battlefield. For example, here we have Temporal Intervention. It's 2 and a black for a sorcery. It says Void. This spell costs 2 less to cast if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn. or if a spell was warped to this turn. And then it says target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a 9-land card from it, and that player discards that card. So yeah, this just cares about things leaving, and if you warp something as well, you kind of get that additional discount or additional effect.
Another one with a lot of moving parts. This looks at whether a permanent left the battlefield on either your side or your opponent's side.
It does, yep.
I don't believe there's many instant speed effects that have void on them.
Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head now.
Yeah, it's mostly attached to creatures as like a static effect, sort of like this, as opposed to like on an instant. So it doesn't really matter triggering stuff on your opponent's turn, but this could involve like, I don't know, your opponent sacking a lander token during your attack step, and then you're like, oh, that turns on my void in my second main. Like, it opens, again, a lot of different gameplay actions. Speaking of lander tokens, we should talk about landers. Edge Rover. It's green.
Yes.
For a 2/2. This is going to be a long one. Artifact creature, robot scout, an uncommon. It's a 1-mana 2/2 with reach, and it says when this creature dies, each player creates a lander token, which is an artifact with 2, tap, sack this token, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. I love these tokens.
Okay, me too.
So good cracking them.
I love these too. What are they supposed to represent? Is a lander a spacecraft that's landing?
Like,
so are these all failed missions where they just crashed into the into the Earth?
I guess so. They're all like little. Let's call them unmanned. Let's call them like rovers. You know,
they're like protocol droids from Star Wars.
There's a little, exactly. Or like the Curiosity rover. We don't really care if it dies. It's not alive.
That's true. All right, yeah, I respect that. It's not alive.
Well, anyway, these are awesome for mana fixing. There's a bunch of landfall effects. Red-green is pretty heavily built around that. But it's seemed like every color pair has had stuff to do with lots of mana. There's like a 7-mana red common dragon that bolts something on ETV.
Yeah.
That clearly is more mana than red is used to working with. There's a really good white uncommon 6-drop that like puts counters on your whole team. Even the more aggressive decks can find things to do with 4, 5, 6 mana. So cracking your landers in the early game has been a pretty good way to use your time.
Yeah, I'm shocked these aren't like at sorcery speed too, because these are instant speed lands, which is very, there's a lot of landfall triggers, so it's a very unique kind of play around, like where like green almost gets these like combat trick effects with these landers.
Don't worry, I did die to that maybe 20 minutes ago before we started recording. My opponent had the 7-mana overrun thing where when they play a land, their creatures get +1/+1 in haste or something like that. I didn't see that they had a lander, and I thought I was going to 2, and I went to 0. So that was cool.
All right, next we have Landfall, which we were just talking about. Ben likes to give me the hardest to pronounce one. Geomorph Legume, Imagu.
I have no idea how to say this name.
Imagu. I'm going to go with Imagu.
The Imagu.
I believe this is the card that has the printing error as well. In the alternate art, it was given the legendary border.
That's funny.
Which is hilarious. Really? Yeah. We can Google that real quick. Ben, Google that real quick while I talk about this here. So this is a green and a blue insect druid. It's a 1/3 with flying. It also has landfall. So this is a returning fan favorite mechanic. This landfall triggers when a land enters the battlefield. This one says whenever a land you control enters, target creature has base power and toughness 3/3 until end of turn. If you control 6 or more lands, that creature has base power 6/6 until end of turn. So I would say this is probably like the all-time fan favorite ability of all time. Like, I don't know, this is probably the most returned, most talked about besides the Evergreen. Yeah.
I did get the chance to play with this one in my first deck, which was a trophy deck. I had a couple copies of this thing, and it was busted.
Yeah, seems pretty good.
Yeah, there it is. Yep. That is a legendary frame right there.
Yep, and they were sent out like this.
That, I mean, yeah, what's not legendary about that? Anyway, this could be a legend, and it would still be, pretty good.
It looks like a Pokemon to me.
It really does. They got funny with the insect this set.
I think that's cool. I think that I love insects. Like, I think this is a fun, like, exploratory thing. So
a little bit of the lore. They actually went into how different of I think they're called the Eumidians, different of these insects look different in different arts because they're from different colonies that evolved to suit different habitats.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, it talks about how humans haven't really changed and how like certain classes like kind of move into these like specialties and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's do a quick overview of some cards you'll definitely be seeing. The bonus sheet in this set, lands. I hate to say it, but they mostly all suck. They're
There's an
like,
ancient tomb in here.
well, okay. There's Ancient Tomb. That's obviously the spike. If you open that in limited, I'm not even entirely sure
If it's good.
how good that. If it's in your opening hand, it's obviously, you know.
Yeah.
But what if you have like a double green card and then it's like I don't know. It's not even always that good in limited. This isn't Vintage Cube, right? That said, sometimes you will open these bonus sheet lands. They look awesome. Strip Mine, I actually think is kind of cool. You can do that infinite with that green rare if you have Strip Mine, the one that lets you replay lands from the graveyard. That's a kind of funny thing to do. If I had this card, I would snap up that rare the moment I saw it, regardless of what colors I was in, just to say I tried.
Limited land destruction. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Anyway, most of them are colorless, like utility lands, and don't really do anything. There are a whole bunch of dual lands, so if you happen to be in that color, you know, take the dual lands. A lot of them are man lands or shock lands, so you know there's some definitely reasonable pick values to them. But something like I don't know, Endless Sands or like these random colorless lands that don't really do anything, that they're picked just because they look cool. You can kind of just ignore them.
All right, with that, we're gonna hop into our draft vectors. And we're gonna start with Azorius, and Ben named this one binary systems. Shout out to our non-binary listeners. All right, and for this vector binary systems, I believe there's only one signpost uncommon for these. So we're gonna look at Station Monitor, who is a monitored lizard. It is a 1 and a white creature lizard artificer. Come on, Ben. So this is a 2/2, and it says whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 colorless drone artifact creature token with flying. This token can only block creatures with flying. So binary systems, this is the 2 spells matter vector. An uncommon we have here that we think fits the vector pretty well is Gigastorm Titan. What a great name, and a super cool art. It's like a Kraken looking elemental thing.
Yeah.
So it's a 4 and a blue for a 4/4 creature elemental. It says this spell costs 3 less to cast if you cast another spell this turn. So, I mean, 2 mana for a 4/4. It's pretty hot.
Yeah.
And then last we have Night Luminary, which is 3 and a white for a 3/2 creature human knight. It says when this creature enters, create a 1/1 white human creature token. It also has warp for 1 and a white. So this is almost like a discounted effect. We kind of mentioned this when we were talking about warp, how you can use the warp ability to essentially get a discounted second spell to kind of trigger your Station Monitor or get your Gigastorm Titan out for cheaper.
Right. All this clearly points in a direction. We can go wide. We can cast cheap spells. We can do it a lot. And we can find sneaky ways for card advantage. So like, for example, picture a turn 2 where you cast a Station Monitor. Maybe turn 3 you set up your hand or something. Turn 4, if you can warp Night Luminary and then cast Gigastorm Titan, that's making a 4/4 and 2 1/1s on turn 4. That's pretty great. Warp is definitely a way to make sure you have multiple spells to cast because they are inherently 2 spells baked into 1 piece of cardboard. So you don't have to worry about like card draw or other forms of card advantage, but those certainly don't hurt, right?
Yeah. I just realized this is just adventure. Warp is just adventure. I don't know why that just clicked for me now. Like, what's the difference? Right? It's just... Like, what's the difference?
You're right. You are entirely correct.
Oops.
Let's talk about Blue-Black Value Town. I couldn't even think of a good space pun for this one because you know how in every set it sort of seems like there was a black sheep that got left till last, and like
it feels like it's usually Dimir. Honestly, Dimir's been kind of pushed to the wayside. For Final Fantasy, it was also just kind of this, control-y value thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, Alpha Dreaming Acolyte is telling us something, but it's just to put good cards in your deck. It's 1 blue and a black for a 2/3, a human cleric legendary creature at uncommon. When it enters, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. And during your turn, Alpha Rail has Death Touch. So, like, you're going to put artifacts in your deck, but you'd put this in a blue-black deck with no artifacts in it. Just draw 2, discard 2 is very strong, especially if you can find ways to get stuff back from the graveyard. And giving a death touch during your turn, I guess that sort of implies that you want to attack with it, but yeah, I don't know. This is just a good value card. Speaking of value, I couldn't wait any longer to talk about Code Cracker Hound. This is 2 and a blue for a 2/1 dog at uncommon. Fun fact, it's eating one of the blue-white cards from last set. I think it was called...
Oh, is this from Aether Drift?
Yeah, it's eating one of the Aether Drift robots, which that's a funny little reference there. I guess one of the guide lights, one of the guide light Pathfinder or something. One of the guide lights is getting eaten here. Anyway, when this 3-mana 2/1 enters, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one in your hand and the other in the graveyard, but it also has Warp for 2 and a blue. This is the one that I feel like I always mess up with, because I don't know if I'm supposed to warp with it, if I'm supposed to just cast it. I'm a fiend for the value. And I'm like, I've got to, do this twice, right? But then I just die because I forget that my 2/1's exiling itself at the end of the turn. It's a mess.
Well, it's like, is it worth 6 mana for a 2/1 that lets you look at the top 4 and then put whatever,
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I think you're probably just supposed to. It's a Sibsig Appraiser, right? From a couple sets ago. This is just a great card. Also, I am just now noticing that it appears to have 10 sets of legs.
10. That was the first thing I noticed about this card.
How
many dogs do you know have that many legs?
I wasn't too focused on the legs the first time I looked at the card, but now. I can't unsee it. I'm way down on this card. I'd give it an F. I'm never looking at it again.
Get it out of here. Burn it.
Yeah. And last but not least, Monoist Circuit Feeder. 4 black for a 4/4 artifact creature Nautilus at uncommon. It's a flyer. And it says when this creature enters until end of turn, target creature you control gets +X/+O, and target creature an opponent controls gets -0/-X, where X is the number of artifacts you control.
It's pretty hot.
This card reminds me of the oh man, this was from an old Theros, I guess the most recent one, but the BVC, the Blight Breath Catablepus, if you remember that card.
No, that's a mouthful though, I gotta say that.
That's why we called it the BVC instead. Because it was another 6 mana, I think it was like a 3/2, and when it came in, it gave target creature and opponent controlled -X/-X, where X was your devotion to black. And this will frequently do that and more because it's a 4/4 flyer and also gives one of your things a buff. So, I mean, this might have just been good enough as like a 5-mana sorcery. Just kill one of their things and then buff one of your things. But the fact that this body sticks around at the mere cost of putting a bunch of artifacts in your deck. So I have noticed that some of the artifacts, they ask you to sack them, such as the provisions or questionable provisions or whatever that one's called, and the blue bauble. I forget the name of that one too. The set just came out. We don't know all the names yet. The blue one is called Cryogen Relic. That's it.
And the Landers too, which we were kind of just talking about too, similarly.
The Landers as well. So if you have this in your deck, be mindful of when you're sacking stuff, and maybe think about top decks. Whether you'd rather keep one of those around just for the chance of top decking this thing. Because if you get to kill a real creature on the other side, this is just one of the best cards in your deck. Imagine recurring this or flickering it or something.
Gross. I gotta say though, nothing about that art makes me think flying.
I mean, it's like hanging off an asteroid, maybe? I can't really tell.
Is it flying if you're in space where there's
Well, you're in space right now, dude. Do you feel like you're flying?
I'm freaking out, man. I can feel the earth spinning.
I mean, Einstein would have said that all of us are naturally in a free fall, and that simply by merit of sitting in a chair, that's accelerating us from our most natural course towards the Earth's center.
All right, let's go on to the next one, man. Next, we got Into the Void, where I want to be after this conversation. So Into the Void, this is our Rakdos Vector. First, we have, I can't read, Interceptor Mechan. Yeah, okay. English is my first language. So this is
it's a hard language.
It's a hard language. It's 2 black and a red for a 2/2 artifact creature robot. It's just coming at you with a knife, which is cool.
I didn't notice that.
It has flying. It says when this creature enters, return target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Already pretty solid. I like that. It also has void, which says at the beginning of your end step, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or spell was warped this turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. All right, it's pretty cool. Rakdos Recur, yeah, it's fun.
Big upgrade for a Gravedigger.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, rest in peace, Gravedigger. Then we have. Why do you give me the hard ones, man? I can't read. West Stalker Arden.
Yeah.
These are words. It's 2 and a red for a 2/3 Drix Artificer. Whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent, and it has warp for 1. Pretty good effect. I like these kind of ETB triggers. Kind of go wide. And then lastly, you have Circean Voidborn, which is 2 and a black for a 2/2 Vampire Soldier. Dude, that art on that thing is insane.
Yeah.
Whenever
He's
this
huge.
creature, he's huge. Yeah. Whenever this creature, another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. It also has warp for 1. So these have really cheap warp effects, both the art and the Voidborn. Where you can kind of set up a turn where, like, if you don't want to invest the mana to kind of get one of these out, you still have a big turn to play. These are kind of good to start out with. I like how they kind of set up these kind of ETB matters or death triggers matters cards here.
Mm-hmm. Notably, if you have a sack outlet, then this kind of thing really just starts going nuts. Plus, warping lets you cast stuff for cheaper typically, right? So maybe you're getting more ETBs and more frequent ETBs to trigger both of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's come in for a speedy landing here with red-green. Tanuk Memorial Ensign is 1 red-green for a 2/3 Kavu Pilot. A legendary creature, of course, uncommon. It's got landfall. It says, whenever a land you control enters, Tanuk deals 1 damage to each opponent. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card. This is obviously pointing in the red-green landfall vector.
Yeah, I love this card. Nice and clean, you know?
Yep, I did get the draft with this one, and very close to a 3-0 with a red-green deck. I just punted in the last game. But I was very impressed with Tanuk because guess what? Drawing a card means you're so much more likely to hit double landfall next turn. It's a very self-fulfilling prophecy, as I've noticed here. And this card obviously just sets up a whole bunch of little stuff, but it just from getting the lands and playing the lands anyway. But this thing is also just going to start pinging your opponent to death. Speaking of landfall, let's talk about Remnant Elemental. This is 1 in a red for a 0/4 elemental. It has reach, and it has landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, this creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Very weird thing. This isn't a Kav, and the flavor text seems to imply that, like, it's like a thing on the planet that's like telling them to abandon it. Caveron is the red planet that the Kavu live on, and it got blown up because they drilled too deep, like dwarves or something in Lord of the Rings.
This looks like something from Duskmoor almost, honestly.
Yeah, this is horrifying. I don't know what Anyway, 0/4 reach for 2 is a bit of a weird stat line, but as long as you're hitting your land drops, it's a 2/4. That's just pretty good. If you're hitting your extra land drops, it's a 2-mana 4/4. And the fact that it has reach is only ever applicable on blocks, which is a hint that you can crack landers at instant speed.
Mm-hmm.
There's some other ways to get lands into play at instant speed too, but this is the biggest one. This thing can just crunch for 1 million damage, or if you need to, I guess, sort of like bluff being able to kill one of their flyers, just leave it back and leave a lander untapped and, see if they're brave enough to attack into it. And then we have the card that killed me earlier, Glacier Godmaw. This is 5 green for an insane magic card. This is a Leviathan at uncommon. It's a 6/6 trampler. It says when this enters, create a lander token. And then it says landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance and haste until end of turn. This is just, this might be better than Craterhoof Behemoth Unlimited, right? A whole mana less and it does more.
It's definitely a cool card, and it's a Star Wars reference, so it's a win-win in my book.
Yeah, I have died to this one a couple times now. I have not had the pleasure of taking it yet.
No, it's a great finisher. We have Green Suns for our Selesnya Vector. Representing them, we have Halea Helea, yeah, Ascendant Cadet. It's 2 green and a double white for a 3/3 human soldier legendary creature. When it enters or attacks, put a 1/1 target 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Already like it. I love 1/1 counter themes. And whenever one or more creatures you control with a 1/1 counter on them deal damage to a player, draw a card. Combat damage to a player, draw a card. Wow, that's great. I mean, I love that. Card draw in Selesnya too. Oof, spicy.
Yep. There's a common green card that gives everything with a 1/1 counter on it. Trample. Great combo.
Yeah, and talking about that Leviathan last time too, giving everything +1/+1 haste and vigilance. Oof,
disgusting.
We're talking here. A card that works great in this is Rayblade Trooper, 2 and a 1 for 2 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. When it ETBs, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever a non-token creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it dies, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. It also has warp for 1 and a white. So this is also great in these 1/1 counter vectors because it's going to replace your cards that die that had 1/1 counters on them if they were a non-token. It also creates things with 1/1 tokens, so it's a win-win. And then last we have Broodguard Elite. It's X green for a 0/0 insect knight. This creature enters with X 1/1 counters on it. And when this creature leaves the battlefield, you put its counters on target creature you control. It also has Warp X and a green. So if you pay, 5 and a green here for 6, you're going to enter with 5 counters on it. It's going to leave, and those counters are going to go on something else. That's an interesting design space because you're not going to be able to attack with that. You're investing X just to put X counters on something. Is it ever worth it in your mind?
It's tough. If you have the time to, then yes, but that's a lot to then just dump onto one thing that they could just kill.
Sorcery speed put X counters on something is just, I don't think that's it.
Yeah. It's risky, but in the late game, if you need to just dump a bunch of stuff on the one guy, then it can be nice. I think you're mostly casting this as like an X green, like just a Hydra.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Let's talk about Dark Suns. We talked about Green Suns already, but Black White is doing a pretty cool Aristocrats thing this time around. We have Sir Vondam the Lucent. This is 2 white, black. It's a 4/4. It's a legendary human knight at uncommon. It is Death Touch and Lifelink. So 5 out of 4/4 Death Touch Lifelink. I'm in love with this card already. When it enters or attacks, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain Death Touch until end of turn. Amazing. Pairs really well with tiny little dorks, as does Halia, which kind of makes sense because they are both, part of the Sunstar Legion or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, they both sort of have the call it the Titan effect, where it's when they enter or attack, which is just, gravy. This deck I've noticed is sort of trying to go wide and do like an Aristocrats sacky thing. Sometimes it involves the graveyard. Clearly, Sir Vondam wants you to put a bunch of little creatures into play because those are the ones that your opponent really groans at having to block when they're +1/+0 and Death Touch.
Yeah.
So
I love the art in this set because each specific vector or archetype here makes me think almost like of a different sci-fi fantasy. And for some reason, this gives me big Dune vibes. I don't know if you're picking those up. Okay, all right, cool.
Absolutely. Black White can also have a small life gain sub-theme. There's a couple cards that key off that as well. Our first uncommon here is Umbral Collar Zealot. This is 1 in the black. This is a human cleric at uncommon. It's a 3/2, and it says sacrifice another creature or artifact, Surveil 1. This card is making waves in Standard and Aristocrats, and it's not too surprising that it's good and limited as well. It doesn't give itself protection, as many of the best sack outlets for Aristocrats tend to do. But if you need to be able to sack something at instant speed, there's no better card than this. And speaking of going wide, we have Dual Sun Adepts. This is 2 and a white. It's a 2/2 human soldier at uncommon. It's got double strike. And you can pay 5 to give creatures you control +1/+1 until end of turn. Sort of like a backup version of Sir Vondam, just buffing your board. Tyler, you actually watched me before we started recording double buff Dual Suns Adept and swing for way more than lethal, despite it not looking like lethal.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, for our Is It Vector, we have Robot Invasion.
Good luck, nerd.
We have Manumano.
The joke is that there's no way to say this name.
We have Manumanum Uthros Exile, which is 1 blue and a red for a 1/3 Jellyfish Advisor. It's a legendary creature as well. It has flying. It also says whenever an artifact you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Oh, actually, not even you control, just target creature for if you want to put a 1/1 counter on your opponent's creatures for whatever reason.
Sure.
Yeah, fine, clean, simple. We have Mecha Assembler. This is 4 and a blue for a 4/4 robot artificer. Whenever the artifact you control enters, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. And then they had to add this ability triggers only once per turn, or this would go infinite, but whatever.
I mean, but
So as you can tell, it'd be insane. As you can tell, this vector cares about artifacts. We're seeing a lot of ETBs for artifacts causing triggers. And then we have Caravan Harrier. This is just 1 red for a 2/1 robot soldier artifact creature. Whenever this creature attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token that is tapped and attacking. Sacrifice that token at the end of combat. This card works great in this vector because you're going to have the consistent ETBs on these artifacts. So this is like the best turn 1 play for me.
Yep. This vector is clearly just saying put them into play by whatever means necessary, and both of these make extras. So cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's not even cast. It's just ETB, which is nice for those lander types.
For black-green, we have the usual. I don't even bother naming this one. This is another one that feels like it got sort of left by the wayside. This is Siege Ship Broodtender as our signpost uncommon here. This is black-green for a 2/3. It's an insect citizen at uncommon. Weird that it's a citizen. When this creature enters, mill 3 cards. You can pay 5. It's 3 black-green. Sack this creature. Return target creature or spacecraft card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. This reminds me of Valgaboth's Faithful, the black uncommon that basically did this for creatures a little while ago in Duskmourn. Except that only cost 1 to play and 4 to crack to bring back a creature. This is 2 to play. It does mill you, but then it's 5 to crack.
Yeah, it feels like a lot. But it hits spacecrafts too, right? So
it does. But I feel like this one, you have to be a little more invested in the self-mill, which there's not a ton of in this set. It's not like Town Greeter in Final Fantasy, where you could reliably, at common, dump 4 cards in your graveyard with a variety of effects. This one I have not actually liked as much at all. Although I will say green has been a high-performing color recently, at least in our first week of gameplay or whatever. This one, I just don't think this card is even that good in black-green. Like, you'll play it, but I'm just not super impressed. If you're going deep on graveyards, I guess you want a copy of Pull Through the Weft. This is 3 green. It's a sorcery to uncommon. Return up to 2 non-land permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Then return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. If you can get all 4 cards off this, that's a 4-for-1. That's a huge deal. But you really need to be committed to going into the late game and having some self-mill. Maybe like multiple Siege Ship Broodtenders.
And that artwork is insane. I love this artwork.
Yeah, so little lore. That's one of the Drix who we saw before. They're like the ancient progenitor beings of the Edge, if you will. So we talked about this in the pre-show a little bit, as well as many other things. But the Drix are within this, like, it's sort of like the plane is space. It might border against the Edge of Eternities more literally than some planes do. I think like one of the walls actually goes right into the Blind Eternities, but this is like almost like a plane that is space. The Drix are these ancient beings within this space plane, which seems much larger than every other plane, because most planes are like planets, right? Like Zendikar, there's a map of that exists somewhere. Like, there are locations on it. This is actually outer space with full planets on it. We could spend a whole set on one planet if we wanted to. So interesting design space that they've opened up there in the future. This Drix is like they can kind of planeswalk within their plane. So like they can teleport to any location within the Edge of Eternities. But they can't planeswalk to, say, Dominaria. They can basically planeswalk around the Edge. So like they can jump from planet to planet. And that's sort of what this guy's doing here. They call it weft walking. Anywho, next is a Caesarian Dirge Craft. This is 4 and a black. It's got some gnarly art, maybe a little Dune-esque too, except like the 80s one directed by David Lynch. It's a 4/3. And it says when this spacecraft enters, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. And then it has station at 7+, it's flying, and is a 4/3.
It's a slow edict effect, but
yeah,
it'll do.
It's the kind of thing that you would want to be recurring if you're in black-green. If you can get this to happen multiple times, make those sacrifices start adding up, especially against an opponent who doesn't have like little tokens. This would not be very good against, well, I guess tokens, it's not token, right?
No, well, that's the issue with this too as well, though, because at 5, like your opponent has a board state enough where they can just kind of get rid of something they played early game. Like, I don't like edict effects that are this expensive.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that if you could recur it a bunch, it would do something, and it has a slightly cheaper station cost than some of the other ones. But I don't know. I'm not super impressed with black green in this set.
Yeah. Yes, we got Boros double tap. Let's go. Representing Boros here, we have Sammy, ship's engineer, legendary creature, human artificer. It is 2 green.
I'm keeping it in. Do it again.
It is 2 red and a white for a 2/4. I think I read this part already. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. This vector cares about you tapping your stuff. This is Boros. You want to attack. You want to tap your stuff down. Things should be sideways. Representing, we have Dawnstrike Vanguard, 5 and a white for a 4/5 human knight with lifelink. Beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control other than this creature. Phenomenal.
Beautiful.
What's that Convoke Elephant? This feels like the Convoke Elephant almost.
Oh, wow, it does. Locks it on something.
Yeah, locks it on something. Yeah, classic locks it on or something from forever ago.
The first time I played Dawnstrike Vanguard, I actually didn't realize what I was doing. I played it, and then I used 2 of my creatures to station a ship and attack with it. And then I went to my end step, and it just auto-triggered. And I was like, oh, wow. I guess cool. So, obviously give a station 2. I was like, wow, I'm so glad Arena does the thinking for me sometimes.
Oh, man. And then we have Vault Guard Trooper, another 4 and a 5 for a 5/5 Kavu Soldier with at the beginning of your end step. If you control 2 or more tapped creatures, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Love these types of effects. Just make sure your things are tapped down before your end step starts, because these do all matter at the beginning of your end step. Don't wait till end step to activate these, or you will miss out on your fun. You need 2 to tap, man. That's all I'm saying.
You need 2 to tap. Let's talk about a steady landing, not the speedy landing we had last time.
Hey, I've seen this one before, Ben. Wait a minute.
So this is pronounced Biomechan, but ever since someone told me to pronounce it like Uwu Biome-chan, that's all I've been able to see.
Biomechan.
Okay, so Biome-chan engineer is green-blue for a 2/2 insect artificer at uncommon. When it enters, create a lander token. 8, draw 2 cards, and make a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token.
8?
That's hot.
And you can do it multiple times.
In a turn, if you go really nuts.
I mean, clearly this is saying Simic ramp. That's what Simic do.
I had this in a deck with Nexus of Fate, which is on the not bonus sheet, but on the special guests sheet for whatever reason. That I wish this only drew 1 card, because I was so close to being able to just loop Nexus of Fate and then draw it, then cast it, then draw it, then cast it.
God.
Would have been cool, but alas, this draws 2. I still won the games with it, obviously. This card is really, really strong. Let's take a look at something insane to curve it into. That's Larval Scoutlander. 2 and a green for a 3/3 spacecraft if you can get 7 or more station counters on it. And then it has flying. So 3-mana 3/3 flying with 7 or more, not bad. But this effect. When it enters, you may sack a land or lander. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. This card is insane if you sacrifice a lander. If you sack a land, it's good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still a very good card. But if you curve the Biome-chan engineer into Larval Scoutlander, I mean, this was you're basically able to play a 6-drop on turn 4.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Very, very strong card. Finally, I put Codecracker Hound here again here too, because this I think might actually be a better home. Blue, if we're going this big, it's gonna want ways to actually generate board presence and card advantage. Mana is obviously not going to be the issue here with green, and even with the biomech and engineer and things that create lander tokens. So then what are you doing all this mana? You need card selection and you need card advantage. And the Codecracker Hound, I guess in this deck, you'd want to actually warp it and then, get to play it again later. Whereas in blue-black, I think you're mostly going to be playing it on its front face to fill your graveyard. This one, I think you really just want the raw cards off it. So full price.
Okay, so that's a wrap up with all the vectors. We also like to take a look at the top commons since this is a draft podcast. You're going to run through these cards a lot more frequently. So based on what we've seen from the set, we think these are going to be the most drafted and the most playable. We have a fan favorite returning. We have Banishing Light is back. This is 2 and a white. And this enchantment enters, exile target non-land permanent, and opponent controls until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. Classic, always works, hits everything.
Always
Can't go
good.
wrong with this. Always good. Yep. Next, we have Night Luminary. We've seen this already mentioned once. This is 3 and a white for a 3/2 human knight. When it enters, create a 1/1 white human soldier token. It also has warp for 1 and a green. 1 and a white, that's not the color green. I don't know my colors. I lost primary colors apparently since the last
Colors
episode.
are hard.
They are hard. So again, like this is a great card. If you're going to warp it for, on turn 2, you're still going to get that 1/1, and then you can play this again to eventually get another 3/2 body and a 1/1. We've seen this card a lot where it's, a common that ETBs and creates another thing. You're getting a 2 for 1. Always great. And then last we have Dock Worker Drone. Ben made this one smaller because he thinks it's less effective. It's 1 and a white for a 1/1 robot. Enters with a 1/1 counter on it, and when it dies, put its counters on target creature you control. That is counters. So if you can put more 1/1 counters on this thing, it will transfer them.
I will say I'm going to cheat using 17 lands a little bit here since we're recording this a few days into release, and our top 2 are correct. Our third is not.
That's why it's little.
That's why it's small. I think this one has potential, particularly in green-white, though. This is really a green-white card. I bet if you were to sort by green-white decks, it would actually be better. Yeah, exactly. Our top blue commons, Lost in Space. 3 and a blue. It's an instant. Target artifact or creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their owner's library. It's their choice. And then Surveil 1. We've seen this card a bunch of times. It's always pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's a little expensive, but I think it's a slower set. I have high hopes.
And it's got cool art.
Oh, gorgeous art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, all 3 of these have pretty great art. Next is Starbreach Whale. 4 and a blue for a whale at common. It's a 3/5 flyer. When it enters, Surveil 2. Nice effect. And then it also has warp for 1 in the blue. So this is not a bad thing to do on turn 2, particularly in blue-black, where you might be filling the graveyard a little bit, or even blue-green, like a graveyard sub-theme.
Yeah.
And then we have Cryogen Relic. This is maybe the most trinkety of trinket cards we've seen in a long time. This is 1 in the blue for an artifact. When it enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. And you can also pay 1 in the blue, sack it, put a stun counter on up to 1 target tapped creature. Notably, there's some cards in the set that ask you to tap permanents. You can tap this thing all you want. When it enters or leaves the battlefield to draw cards, you can sack it to stuff. You can blink it with that one. There's a 2 and a white 2/2 flyer that when it enters, return a thing to your hand. This card's awesome. I really like it.
So good. And I can't believe they put a blue ball on the edge set. Isn't that insane?
Thank God this is late in the episode. Only the diehards get to hear that one. That's it. You're cut off.
This card is really good. I mean, in all seriousness, the fact that it draws you 2, we've had effects like this before where ETBs and dies and you draw off those effects, and they always seem really powerful and limited. So
yeah,
it's no shock to me. I think you said this is like 60% win rate at this point.
It's down to 59.5, but it is actually the top blue common. And I will say that the next 2 are not the ones that we have picked, but they're in the next set. Next is actually Cryo Shatter, the blue -5/-0. One after that is Self-Craft Mechan, 3 mana 3/4. I don't know. I still have hopes for the whale. I like this little guy. And Lost in Space is actually the next card down. It's the top 4th, we'll say.
We're close. We're close.
These guesses I made before the data came out. So I'm happy with where I landed on this.
All right, now we have top black commons, and are you shocked? They're mostly kill spells.
Yeah.
We have depressurize, which is 1 in a black for an instant. Target creature gets -3/-0 until end of turn. Then, if that creature's power is 0 or less, destroy it. This is a very unique design space that I love, and
Yeah.
I gotta say the art is very reminiscent of like almost or late '90s Magic to me, where it's almost got that like drawn
Yeah.
style to it, which I really love. I like this card. I've had fun with it. It's yeah, a unique design space. Um, and next we have Gravekill, which is kind of a return to form here. It's 3 in a black for an instant exile target creature or spacecraft. We seem to be getting consistent 4 mana exile effects, either in white or black in these sets, and they're always pretty good. And then we have a return from, I think, Kawigama. It's a 1 in a black for Virus Beetle. Artifact creature, an insect for 1. It's a 1 in a 1. When this ETBs, opponent discards a card. And again, we see this type of effect pretty consistently limited, and again, they're always pretty high pick rate.
Yeah. Virus Fuel is not quite as high as I expected. It is the top
Oh,
5th common right now. Depressurize is number 1, not
nice.
surprising. Gravkill number 4. The 2 above it are actually creatures. Gravpack Monoist, the 3-mana 2/1 flyer that dies into a 2/2 robot. And a weird one, the Perigi Beckoner, 5-mana 4/5. When it enters, you give a creature +2/+0, and if it would die, it comes back tapped.
Oh, see, I thought that I played against that card. I'm like, this is kind of silly because those effects only really work well on instants, in my opinion, because it's kind of like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, the fact you know that, so it's almost like guaranteed damage, or you get a recurred ETB effect. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting with that staple. I found that it was more effective this way for sure. Also, that art on Gravkill, once again, Dominic Mayer, just maybe my favorite modern Magic artist. This was kind of highlighted in Sam Ristic Study's most recent video. I didn't even notice that that's the guy's heart to the left there. So like,
Oh wow, yeah.
and that's a Sunstar Soldier. Little lore knowledge. The Monoists, they throw black holes as weapons sometimes. So this is a black hole that's gone through this dude and for some reason left his heart, which I find, I mean, this is just awesome. It's also eating the guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, oh my god, yeah. The more I look at the art, the more fun it gets.
Yeah, just Dominic Mayer is the best in the business right now. For top red commons, we have Bombard. This is 2 in a red instant. It deals 4 damage to target creature. We have Plasma Bolt, red for a sorcery. Deals 2 damage to any target. It is void. If it voided this turn, it deals 3 damage instead. This can go face. It's not a strictly better shock because it's a sorcery. It's certainly not Lightning Bolt, but it can behave like a Lightning Bolt if you have Void online. And then I picked a funny one for my last one, Zookeeper Mechan. 1 in a red for a 1/3 robot. It taps for red. Just a straight up 1 in a red, 1/3 mana dork. And then you can also pay 6 in a red. Target creature you control gets +4/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery.
Wow, that's very interesting. And you could tap it to pay its own activated ability cost, which is cool.
Yes, you can. It is sorcery speed, so your opponent sees it coming, but I did this on a first striker once and basically just put them into the pit. Like they just had to keep sacking stuff every turn to chump.
And I love every creature in this thing. That weird cat thing and the guy riding it. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, just comparing a little bit here, my predictions are slightly off. Although, it's like day 2. These are very like the mythics and rares have barely even hit the data sets yet. So right now, Zookeeper Mechan is the number 2 red common.
Wow. That's shocking to me, honestly, between Plasma Bolt and Bombard as well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess give red access to a true mana dork and stuff's bound to happen.
Yeah.
There is Kav Landseekers beneath that. Top is actually Orbital Plunge. That's the 4 mana sorcery, deal 6. Make a lander if it dealt excess damage. That is a very strong card.
Yeah.
Given that a lander triggers all your artifact stuff. The Nebula Dragon is actually above there too. As is Melded Moxite. That's the discard thing. But these are like 55%ers. I think we're going to see these change. Plasma Bolt is sitting right comfortably in that 55%er range.
Finally, we have the top green commons. We have a Diplomatic Relations. 2 in a green for an instant. Target creature gets +1/+0, gains vigilance until end of turn, and it deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. This is our green bite effect of the set. Can't go wrong here. The fact that it boosts the power of the creature and gives it vigilance means you're going to attack with this creature afterwards, most likely. So
We do have to note, this is the one that got retconned.
Oh, is this the one that got retconned?
Oh, yeah.
Target creature. It's target creature you control gets +1/+0 now. Because this prior was your opponent's creatures can do it. It got weird with the wording.
It's a Doomblade. I mean, you could, if they have a 6/6, you aim this at their 6/6 and target the same 6/6, and it kills itself.
That's hilarious.
It's like a self-fling effect, yeah. Which that's a very red ability. I actually said that I think they should have retconned it by changing that pip to be red instead. That would be funny.
That would have been hilarious. All right, next we have Galactic Wayfinder, 2 and a green for a 3/3 human scout. When ETBs, create a lander token. Nice, clean, efficient, green ramp. And last we have Sammy's Curiosity. 1 green for a sorcery, you gain 2 life, and then create a lander token. A lot of lander tokens in green, but they're pretty powerful tokens.
Would you believe me if I said the Galactic Wayfarer is actually the top common in the set right now?
Yeah, 3 mana 3/3 that gets you I'd say that's pretty solid, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's in a clean 60% win rate.
Wow, that's even higher than I thought it would be. That's nice.
Yeah. Beneath that is Gene Pollinator. That's the green for 1/2 robot insect. It's like the
tapper?
The tapper. Good card. Not quite a Llanowar elf, but in this
There's
format,
a lot of cards that
need
care
mana.
about being tapped too, so it does trigger a lot of different things.
Beneath that is the Germinating Worm, the 5 mana 5/5 ETB gain 2 life. You can warp for 1 of the green. Just beneath that is Diplomatic Relations. And then Sammy's Curiosity is much further down, a whole 5% beneath that 55%. So I'm not stoked about that one yet, but I could see it changing as the archetypes sort of sort themselves out.
Yeah, Sammy's Curiosity is interesting. It's like you have a rampant growth, which is just 2 mana to fetch a land, but Sammy's becomes 3 essentially to get a land and gain 2 life. It's at what point, but you do gain that artifact, which is relevant in certain vectors.
Well, we broke down the format. I'm really liking the look of it so far. I'm liking how it plays. I'm excited to play more of it. I've been grinding a bunch of standard for an upcoming RCQ, but I'm excited to, play some actual sealed since I missed pre-release, and I know you are too. Maybe we get an RCQ going for sealed. That'd be kind of hot.
Maybe we should just do our own pre-release. I just want to play pre-release, man. I'm upset I missed it too. You missed FNN too, Ben. You're 2 behind now. We gotta catch up. We're going to Spider-Man next.
Oh God. Well, let's hop into our Teferi Tybalt, our Roses and Thorns style segment for today. Tyler, what's up with you?
I did not think of anything prior to this, so we're gonna come up on the spot. Teferi, I was on vacation last week. We enjoyed a nice trip up the East Coast. It was nice and relaxing. It was a good time. The baby got to see the beach for the first time.
Nice.
Not like the ocean. It was quite cold, and I didn't like it either. But she ate some sand. Yeah, classic baby stuff. So that was cool.
Babies love eating sand.
Babies do love eating sand. I don't blame them. It's a good texture. And then Tybalt, I gotta say, coming back from vacation and having to go back to work, like that feeling, that first Monday back from a vacation, worst feeling in the world. You're like, oh, now I have to do this for the next 51 weeks, or
yeah.
I'm sure that's how summer break feels too. That's probably worse. That like first Monday after like having 2.5 months off or 2 months off.
There's a sort of unspoken teacher look that we just kind of look at each other like we all do the pleasantries and we're like, how was your summer? But then we all sort of just look at each other like,
we're back.
Yep.
Yeah.
The world's longest weekend and then the world's longest work week.
Yeah. Well, how's your week been?
It's been good. I also was on vacation, which I guess we should say has been a bit of the reason for inconsistent uploads. Listener, we apologize for that. We knew that this was going to be happening given our summers and all of our travel plans and scheduling and whatnot. I will say the upside of the school year is that it keeps us on a weekly upload schedule on lock. So expect that. But it's nice for us to take a little summer break, a little summer hiatus from weekly uploads. It's nice to get a break from editing all the time and, get to go and do stuff with friends I haven't seen through the school year. I was actually also on vacation. I was in San Francisco visiting some friends out there with Mia. We missed pre-release because of that, but we did stop at a local game store, saw what they had going on out there. That was pretty fun. We rode in a Waymo for the first time. That was wild.
Oh, there's one of those electric cars that has like the driverless cars, whatever it is.
Driverless cars. I gotta say, I felt safer in it than I did some Ubers.
All right, that's a win.
I mean, I was terrified getting it for the first time, but after that, I was like, you know what? San Francisco, tech capital, whatever. If it's going to work anywhere, it's probably here. Half the cars in the street are Waymos at this point, so they're all talking to each other. So I guess that's pretty safe.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That was fun. I got to explore, got to see the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island. I don't know what else. It was good. Good seafood. Excellent seafood on the West Coast there. As for Tibble, I'm not really used to time changes, like time zone changes like that. So it hit us pretty hard both directions. It's a 3-hour time difference, which doesn't feel like a lot, but we found ourselves waking up at like 5 a.m. Like, oh God, what do we do now?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do now? And which makes sense because you wake up at 8 here, right? So, and then falling asleep at like 8 p.m. and we're like, this sucks. Can't stay out, can't do anything. But overall, summer's been pretty good so far. I might have mentioned, I guess this is not a Teferi or Tybalt yet, but maybe you'll hear next episode. I'm planning an RCQ for Standard tomorrow. I'm missing some cards that I need for my deck, and we're going to see how it goes.
Classic.
Yeah. With that, dear listener, thank you for joining us as we explore the edge.
I'm done. You said I was done. I'm like, there's no more jokes at this point.
I said you're cut off, so you don't get to make any more jokes about it. Thank you for joining us. As always, a big shout out to our patrons. And if you want to talk about the set with us, upload your trophy decks, hop on into our Discord where there's all those discussions happening. I'm hopefully going to be uploading a couple more trophy decks. Hopefully. Same with Tyler, too. Thank you for listening and enjoy exploring the edge. So a quick sign off, because I know it's past your bedtime. We were starting to talk about this. I think it's worth just saying again. The Spider-Man set.
Pumped.
4-player draft.
Yeah. Two picks per pack. Per pass, whatever you want to say. Yeah. I don't know.
What are they doing? What are they thinking?
It's a smaller set. It's got less draft archetypes, different smaller vectors to go into. I don't know, man.
I hate to say it like this, but everything about this set and the way it's rolled out, the cards, whatever, they're going to be good. R&D always cooks up something good with the cards themselves. Even some of the Final Fantasy cards we found pretty endearing, despite not knowing much about it. This has every making of like, they had one idea, but this is what they're getting away with. Like, this does not feel like the original intention, and I think it's showing in like they're branding what you could maybe describe as a failure as a bonus. Like they're saying, you get to draft with 4 people. I like drafting with 8 people. I like getting 7 friends in a room. Like
I like 10 draft archetypes, you know?
Yeah, I like being able to draft 10 different things. Like if there's only 5 archetypes and it's a smaller set, this might be the worst replayability we've seen ever for a set.
Oh, yeah. This is an Aftermath set.
Ugh. I wish they'd made it like that. I wish they just released it as Aftermath and didn't try to say like, hey guys, we have this new thing. Like
I don't know how big the set is, but it is much smaller. I remember reading it's like 80 cards less than EOE. And if these are like normal sized packs, you're going to be opening the same card over and over again. And if there's only 4 people, everybody's going to be pushed into a specific archetype. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true. 4 players, 5 archetypes, pretty on rails, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to learn pretty quick. Somebody's picking certain colors, and I don't know. I'll give it a chance. I complained a lot about FNN or about Final Fantasy, and ended up being a really great set. So I'm trying not to be too negative. I like the IP this time, so I don't have to complain as much.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I do love Spider-Man. Definitely favorite superhero. Top Spider-Man movies, out of curiosity?
The Sam Raimi ones.
Correct answer. Although, are you including Spider-Verse in that ranking?
Oh no, okay. Spider-Verse would be like, yeah, Miles Morales. Those the Sony one. Yeah, Sony's hit or miss, but they've been on fire with the last couple ones.
Sony
So-
has been on a heater. I'm gonna make this an official recommendation of the Draft Chaff podcast. But the Sony animation team that made Spider-Verse, of course, they recently released that movie K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix.
Oh my god, I keep seeing clips about that.
I'm not gonna lie, dude, it's a lot of fun. Take this from someone who knows nothing about K-pop. I think anyone would appreciate the whimsy of this. Also, the animation's gorgeous. It looks like Spider-Verse. Like, it's gonna look great. And they just announced another one called Goat. Apparently, they're just cranking out these
I have to look that
high
up.
octane, beautifully animated. I mean, like,
This looks
thank
dumb.
God. What does?
Goat. This looks like a direct-to-DVD. Can I share my screen right quick?
Are we gonna get copyright struck for this?
Probably. Nah, I'm not watching that, man. What the hell is that? This looks
Okay,
like
okay.
a
Pull
Fortnite
up.
character.
Oh my God! Pull up K-pop Demon Hunters. That's for the real
Yeah,
action.
K-Pop Demon Hunters is good. Yeah, I mean this.
Oh, my girls.
But like some of these some of the music from this was like breaking Billboard Top 100. Like,
Oh yeah, because they got the best like singers from
Yeah.
actual girl band. Like they got the singers from like 17 and Twice, I think. Like, yeah. So these are the clips you've been seeing, huh?
oh yeah, 100%.
All right, you can't take these out of context. These take up like single frames in the movie. Like it doesn't look like this. It's a lot like, oh my God. You're one of the freaks that's screen capping all these. Trust me, this movie is good.
No, I've only heard